Namaskar. Now we are into lesson number 2 of standard 10th Karnataka English language. Uh, the name of the lesson is The Elixir of Life by C.V. Raman, the scientist. Uh, it has been as a prelude here given. It is said that if the Third World War breaks out, it will be for the sake of water. Do you agree? They have said it is very much true. One can go into that James Bond movie, uh, Quantum of Solace, which will very much highlight on this matter. Let us go into the lesson. Man has, through the ages, sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita. By drinking, one will never die. It is there in many of the scriptures of our ancient mythology of different religions being called as different names to confer immortality. If we drink that, we will be immortal. It says that. But true elixir of life lies near to our hands. We are not aware of it, for it is the commonest of all liquids, just the plain water. Second para. I remember one day standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of Nile in Egypt. The whole civilization of Egypt has grown on the river Nile. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetations. And the author shows us the demarcation how on one side a pure desert like situation and on the other side very much greenery. What made this wonderful difference? Why it is the water of river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousand miles away. Third para, geologists tell us that the entire soil of river Nile valley is the creation of the river itself. By coming from the upside, it has brought down the soil, and the river itself is a creation of that. It was brought down as the finest silt in its flood waters from the highlands of Abyssinia, from the remote Central Africa, and laid down through the ages in the through which the Nile flows into the sea. True means a sort of a channel through which the Nile flows into the sea. Egypt, in fact, was made by its river. As I said earlier, the whole civilization of Egypt, the ancient civilization of Egypt as it is called, is a product of river Nile, nothing else. Its ancient civilization was created and is sustained by the life-giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. It's the same river but not the same water. Year after year it has been flowing, and the living beings have been making use of it. Fourth para, I give this example and could give many others to emphasize that this common substance which we take for granted in our everyday life is the most potent and most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. We take it for granted. Water and diamond paradox. There is one important thing in economics, water and diamond paradox. If one is to die and for just one little glass of water, otherwise he would die, then he will be ready to give even the the costliest diamond that he has on the earth. That shows that to save his life, that water is important for him and not that diamond. So that is the water and diamond paradox. So we take it for granted because it is available everywhere. It has played a role of vast significance in shaping the course of Earth's history and continues to play the leading role in the drama of life on the surface of our planet. It has been playing the most important uh, element in our health also. Our body consists of almost 60% of it is a part of it's water. The earth surface is almost 70% of the surface is water. How much potable water is important, remember. So it has played an important role on the surface of the planet. Fifth para, there is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of countryside as water, be just a little stream trickling over rocks or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. Wherever there is a pool of water or a little stream or we call the seasonal waterfalls in case of raining, we point out all those things and remember and visit such places because we are fascinated by water. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. There are many tanks which are full only when there is rain, have been most of the time neglected. In some cases, it has been happening that some sort of a lobby is waiting for them to vanish and make that land available for certain other than water storage usage. They are of course shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back, and the bottom does not therefore show up. What happens is, since it is shallow, in clear water only one can see up to the bottom of the water and earth below the water. Otherwise we cannot see. The light reflects and what we see is a reflection of light. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. The water is drawn for agriculture. With that agriculture activity only we are able to survive, not by printing and minting coins. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large and it is a beautiful sight to see the sun rise or set over one of them. Some of the tanks are as large we cannot see the other end, just like we see the sea so large that we cannot see the other end, and then we can see the sunset and sunrises also. Water in a landscape may be compared to the eyes of a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning the dark and gloomy when the sun is overcast. All these are as if our facial expressions are being compared to the facial expressions by the author. Sixth para, one of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. We never knew how much water is carrying the finest silt while it's flowing. We call it the dirty water. It's not dirty. Water is clear. It carries the dirt or the earthen particles in it. This is the origin of the characteristic color of water in rain-fed tanks. We call it teacups or it's वे चाय का tank है ऐसा बोल रहे. All these are because of the color borrowed from the soil in suspended form in the water. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh flowing rain. It depends on the earth, kind of earth that it carries and the quantum of rain. More the rain, the color will be faded. This color varies with the nature of the earth and catchment area. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. Finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density, are of course extremely small, but their number is also great. The kind of carrying capacity, the author says, the silt is being brought along with the flow of water it changes its color, and what kind of silt it carries, and how it affects it is being said. Seventh para, the flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture, if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effect on the life of the country. What the author says is, we are very happy when the soil from other end comes over here and settles down, the fertile soil every time. But we have to be equally careful, because this soil also will be carried out by the next flow of water, and our soil erosion will occur. In Cherrapunji, it is said that more of rain may turn out after a few centuries or so into a desert, because the fertile soil may go, so the forest may be vanishing. The vanishing forest will not bring any rain. This is the cycle that the nature has. The problem of soil erosion is one of the serious import in various countries, and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. The way in which the water flows and the way in which it goes, with the what kind of force it has, what kind of direction it has, all these are to be studied, and then only we can devise some measures to check soil erosion. दूसरे जगह से यहाँ आता है अच्छा लगता है, यहाँ से जब निकल जाता है तो बुरा लगता है. 9th para, soil erosion occurs in successive steps, the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. For sometimes we do not come to know that soil erosion has occurred. In later stages, the cutting up and washing away of earth is only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines, which make all agriculture impossible. Speed breaker जैसा, because of this constant erosion, this occurs. Then only we come to know. Sudden burst of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large runoff of surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. Some of times rain comes in a very heavy format, and the earth cannot bear it, and such a heavy flow of water takes away the upper layer of soil. Contributory causes are the slope of the land, as I told earlier, the way in which it flows, removal of natural protective coat of vegetations. It happened in many places on 2nd October 2009 also, when the natural coat of vegetation which allows the water to slip away when the rain comes makes it seep into it, and the soil erosion occurs. The existence of ruts along which the water can flow with rapidly gathering momentum, and the absence of any checks to such flow. When there is no particular check to stop the flowing water, then the soil erosion occurs. Incredibly, large quantities of precious soil can be washed away in such conditions, if such conditions exist, as is unhappily too often the case. It's a natural topography, as we call, and in it we have to have the kind of exercise, the kind of control that need to check the soil erosion. वो मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता. Everyone thinks that it is someone else's job to check the soil. When it goes from bottom of our feet, then only we feel the warmth. Ninth para, the menace in which soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for attention of preventive action. It has been such an alarming way that the fertility has come down in such a way that now we have realized that it is a very dangerous situation we are in. The terracing of land, because when it's a very large slope, then terracing of agriculture is to different levels at which the agricultural activities are carried out. The construction of bunds to stop the water, to check the flow of water, the practice of contour cultivation, planting appropriate types of vegetation are amongst the measures that have been suggested. It is obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large destructive power. We have to check the flow of water at the earliest stage, because as it goes on down the stream, the force gathered, the momentum gathered, will not allow us to go against such natural forces. Never. Then it results in destructive power. 10th para, water is the basis of all life. Every animal and every plant contains a substantial proportion of free or combined water in its body, as I told earlier, and no kind of physical activity is possible in which the fluid does not play an essential part. Water is, of course, necessary for animal life, while moisture in the soil is equally imperative for life and growth of plant and trees. So, as a part of moisture in the soil or in its liquid format for the animals, it is very much necessary. The preservation and utilization of water is thus fundamental for human welfare. If we have to survive, we are sailing in the same boat. It's not that boat, there is a hole in the boat, it's on the other side, let it be. We cannot say, we will all will sink. So we have to take care of water as if it's our resources, not that it's someone else. So water is of course necessary for animal life. Moisture in the soil is to preserve. The preservation and utilization of water is thus fundamental for human welfare. Apart from artisan water, the ultimate source in all the cases is rain or snowfall. It's the rain or snowfall that is the main source. Much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall and is therefore very sensitive to any failure or irregularity of the same. We are very much dependent, gambling it is called, gambling with the rain. Unless there is good rain, there cannot be good agriculture. Unless there is good agriculture, our economy cannot improvise. So we are ultimately minting on printing, again I emphasize, is will not improvise economy. It's only a medium. और जो पैसा है it's only a medium. What needs is the agriculture, something that grows out of this dharti mata. So closely connected, the problem of soil erosion and inadequate or irregular rainfall are closely connected with each other. It is clear that adoption of techniques preventing soil erosion would also help to conserve and keep water where it is wanted. In other words, on and in the soil, and such techniques therefore serve a double purpose. We need to stop soil erosion, and all adequate measures to have regular rainfall are all connected with each other. We need to have water at the place it is needed, and therefore it is to be protected. Many times it happens, unless the rainfall is in the catchment area, we cannot have the dam full of water. That is the way. So 11th para, it is evident, however, that in a country having only seasonal rainfall, an immense quantity of rainwater must necessarily run off the ground. The collection and utilization of this water is therefore of vital importance, because since we are dependent on the natural seasonal rain only, we have to have the proper preservation of the water we receive from that rain source in the ground and over it. Much of it flows down into the stream and rivers and ultimately finds its way into the sea. Much of it is, we call, wasted and goes down the stream and goes into the sea. Just see the word wasted. Otherwise, it would have gone down in recharging the earth, because recharging means our well and every source of water from which we draw from the earth would have the water stored in it. But some sort of it should go to the sea also, remember. Otherwise, a kind of dead sea, because of the uh, density of salt, has occurred by starving the sea of receiving the water from rivers, would happen. So it's not altogether a waste to leave water into the sea also. That is also a needed part of it. So much of it flows down the river and ultimately find in sea. Incredibly, large quantities of the precious fluid are thus lost to the country. Harnessing of our rivers, the water of which now mostly run to waste, is a great national problem which must be considered and dealt with on national lines. Harnessing the flowing river to be used properly without any political or other sort of a vengeance is the need of the hour. Vast areas of land which at present are mere scrub jungle could be turned into fertile, prosperous country by courageous and well planned action. We have to concentrate, as just told, on making the vast lands which we call as wasted ones into a fertile pieces of land. And we have just to understand this very important sentence. The harnessing of our rivers, the water of which now mostly run waste, is a great national problem which must be considered and dealt on. A dealt means to deal with on a national lines. It is not a regional one. Just understand. In our cities also, we don't want the water to be flown, but everybody needs water in the well. तो उसका पानी इधर नहीं आना चाहिए, इसका पानी उधर नहीं जाना चाहिए. Twelfth one, closely connected with the conservation of water supplies, is the problem of afforestation. Systematic planting of suitable trees in every possible and even impossible areas, and the development of what one can call civilized forest. Civilized forest means the man-made forest. As we pass on through some of our districts area, we can find certain trees planted in a particular line. The forest department does it. They do the afforestation program and plant the trees in that manner. As distinguished, these are civilized forests. These are distinguished from wild forests, which are untamed and natural jungles. Is one of the most urgent needs of India. Such plantation would directly and indirectly prove a source of untold wealth to the country. That civilized forest would create, the author says, untold wealth to the country. It's not that it's a waste that to plant trees. What will see? Let us have some buildings over it. No, they would check soil erosion. The planted trees would check soil erosion and conserve the rainfall of the country from flowing away to waste. 13th para. The measures necessary to control movement of water and conserve the supplies of it can also serve subsidiary purpose of value to the life of countryside. The second purpose, subsidiary means apart from the main purpose. By far, the cheapest form of internal transport in a country is by boats. Water transport is the cheapest one. You don't have to lay roads. And barges through canals and rivers. We hear much about programs of rail and road construction, but far too little about development of internal waterways in India. Then again, the harvesting of water supplies usually also makes possible for development of hydroelectric uh, power. The harvesting of water, we stop the water by way of a dam, and then the water is flown in such a way that the turbines are rotating and electricity is produced. Just remember, whether it be atomic or hydroelectric or thermal by way of coal power, the process is the same. Just remember, atomic, hydroelectric or thermal process is the same. By the movement of dynamos, the electricity produced. But how they are moved, the turbines are moved, is the source of energy. Movement of the turbines is different. That's all. So here the hydroelectric power, the flowing water will move the turbine, and the after the movement of turbine, it will be used for agriculture purpose. The availability of electric power would make tremendous difference to the life of countryside and enable the rural economy to be improved in various directions. In particular, it would enable groundwater to be tapped to a greater extent than at present, and thus help to overcome the difficulties arising from irregularity and inadequacy of other sources of supply. If proper water is there, then everything will be prosperous, and water, by the way, will produce by side the electricity that will also further improvise the lifestyle of the countryside and productivity, the author says. 14th and the last para, in one sense, water is the commonest of liquids. In another sense, it is the most uncommon liquids with amazing properties which are responsible for its unique power of maintaining animal and plant life. The investigation of the nature and properties of water is, just remember, therefore, of the highest scientific interest and is far from an exhausted field of research. We have to look into the way in which water can serve us. It is the time that we have to remember how we will survive with water. It's not that we are saving water. We are saving ourselves, so we are saving water. If water is saved, we are saved. With this, I end. Namaste.